Hey guys, Pitmaster here. Let's talk about this past UFC. I don't want to talk about all the fights, but I'm going to highlight a couple of them, maybe three. Let's start off with Lazan against La Quinta. Joe Lazan, I love him. He's a blue collar, rough him up, old school guy. He's kind of probably cut out of the same kind of cloth as Arturo Gatti. But he just seems to be a step behind, like, the top tier strikers. He's just a step behind in the power, maybe the speed. I don't know what it is, but he's just a step behind. He's just like right there, and he's always exciting to watch. Always shows tons of heart, tons of skill. But he's usually, when he fights the higher tier strikers, he just falls a little bit short. I think it's the power. But once it hits the ground, you know, he's always he could compete with anyone. But I think he's just that. But it's always great to watch him because he comes to bang. He comes with power. He comes with conditioning, and mainly he comes with a huge heart. So love to watch him fight. Hate to watch him lose. And then Tyron Woodley against Gasanov. Good fight, not a great fight. Not tons of action, but there's just so much skill between the two of them. I mean, Tyrone is the explosive striker and wrestler, and then his opponent was so skilled, even though he didn't look like it. You know who he reminds me of? And I could work with him on some of this. Contact me if you see this. He was kind of like El Torito Ayala, Tony Ayala, from San Antonio, Texas. He was a boxer. Looks a lot like him. He could fight more like him too. But he was a little sluggish while he weighed in 10 pounds heavier. But he just couldn't quite keep up with Tyrone. But then Tyrone couldn't really get off on him because that guy is so good. He doesn't look as good as he really is. I mean, he's a high level, undefeated fighter. You know, great wrestler. And so Tyrone did what he had to do to win. So it wasn't the most exciting fight, but it was a very smart fight, good fight, Tyrone. And his opponent will be back, guarantee you that. But at 85, obviously, because Dana told him, you can't ever try to make 70 again. He weighed in 10 pounds overweight. Who does that? Well, I've actually seen it a couple times. But usually you miss weight by like a half a pound, maybe a pound. He missed weight by 10 pounds. That's a big miss. But anyway, Tyrone stepped up and fought him and beat him. So that was an interesting fight, and Tyrone definitely won. And then Nick Diaz, Anderson Silva. Huge hype. Did it live up to the hype? I think it did, technically. There wasn't a ton of action, but there was enough action to keep it interesting over 5 rounds. I think Nick nullified a lot of Anderson's more flamboyant techniques and speed just with his constant moving forward aggression. And I think Anderson nullified a lot of Nick's technique and just nonstop brawling with his speed and movement. So styles make fights. So this fight was a good fight. It wasn't a great fight, but to me, it raised up Nick a lot. I mean, to me, he's fighting, you know, what a lot of people think the best fighter that ever lived, or definitely the best fighter of our of the UFC right now. And he rose to the occasion and fought him. I mean, he fought him. He lost the fight, and I think he lost, but he lost a real close fight, and he was the constant aggressor throughout. So I think it raised his stock. Laying down in the middle of the cage in the first round, that probably didn't. But just the fact that he went in and stalked Anderson Silva for 5 rounds, who else has done that? Besides Chris Weidman. All his other opponents, he knocks him out. So anyway, I think Nick did a great job, and so did Anderson. And I think, like I said, I think it raised both of them up the ladder. I mean, Anderson with his horrific injury, now he's back. He was even kicking like crazy with that leg. So obviously he's over that hump. And then I think it made everybody realize Nick Diaz is really that good. Not just that tough. He's not just that, outspoken, but he is that good. So it was a good fight, and I think it was a great night of fights. Thanks for coming.